Kaguya-sama Love is War is, without a doubt, my favorite high school anime of all time. In fact, it's probably my favorite high school anything of all time, because it perfectly encapsulates for me what it meant to be in high school. The show is essentially set in Shuichi Academy in high society Japan. It's a private school, and the show mainly follows the two main characters, Kaguya, who is the vice president of the student council, and Shirogane, who is the president of the student council. And basically, these two goobers are head over heels in love with one another. But they have so much social anxiety, and they're so socially awkward, and they have so much insecurity, they can't bring themselves to confess to the other person. So what results is this massive battle of wits trying to get the other person to lay down their feelings for the other person when they're both just gridlocked in this war. And I don't know for you, what your high school experience was like, but for me, basically I would do all this mental gymnastics, anytime any social situation would arise. For instance, imagine I got out of class 2 minutes early, and I'm thinking to myself, I've got out of class 2 minutes early. That means if I leave right now and I go straight for the cafeteria and I put my bag down on the specific seat that my crush usually sits somewhere around, right? And I go to the bathroom, whenever I get out of the bathroom, it has maybe been just enough time that everyone else's class will have ended. She will have sat somewhere close to my bag. I'll come out, I'll see my bag, I can remove it and sit there close to her and have a conversation with her. I do all that thinking in my head instead of just going up to her and talking to her, right? For me, I can relate to literally every single thing that happens in the show, because I would do basically the same stuff. Something would happen and I'd sort of think, how can I get out of this situation, rather than just owning up to my problems and facing it. And throughout the show, there's all this internal dialogue and internal conflict that I just can relate to so hard. I'd have all these voices in my head. Maybe that's just me being a crazy person, but I would have all these voices in my head telling me to do things, and I don't know, it just felt like high school. And I watched the show and I was like, this is it. This is what high school is like for me. It's pure chaos, and it captures that feeling perfectly. It's this relatability that makes the show so funny. The show is one of the funniest anime I've ever seen in my life, and I think it's because of this over-dramatization and relatability. What I mean by that is, very minor things will happen in the show that you can tell carry a lot of weight with the characters. But if you kind of take a step back and think about it for a second, it's really not that important. And I think most of the audience can relate to moments like those that happen in the show. For instance, something will happen where the president, he isn't good at sports, or he doesn't have he's not good at something, and he's worried about people perceiving him as being bad at this thing. So he stress the fuck out and try really hard to learn it. But if you think about it, no one really cares if you're not good at one sport or whatever, right? I remember, for instance, when I was in high school, I was washing my hands one time, and I kind of fucked up and splashed a frick ton of water on my crotch, so it looked like I pissed myself, right? I was flipping the fuck out of the bathroom. I was in the stall with paper towels, just rubbing my crotch aggressively, trying to get the water off. And in reality, if I think back to it, it doesn't really matter that much, right? If I could have explained oh, I just splashed some water on myself or whatever. But looking back on it, I was so worried about it in the moment. And I think it's those moments and that over-dramatization of moments like that everyone had in high school that make the show so funny. It just works, and the humor style doesn't get old. It's very original, and every show has me laughing my ass off, basically. Even the characters in Kaguya-sama are super relatable to me. And I don't know if it's because I didn't go to high school in America, but the stereotypes I saw in high school were much less of the jock and the cheerleader and the nerd and the quiet person, bookie girl, right? Those stereotypes I didn't see in high school. I more saw their academic tryhards and rule following, uptight, pretentious people, and weird people, and academic flops, right? Those were more in line with the stereotypes I saw in my own high school experience. And I know I'm beating the dead horse with relatability, but even the characters themselves are super relatable for me. And that's not even counting their writing, which the writing was amazing. I'm gonna stop talking about relatability because I'm just beating the dead horse at this point, but I could personally relate to everything in this show, even the characters. The other thing I love about Kaguya-sama is it's an amazing sophomore anime. So if you have a friend who's seen Attack on Titan and Death Note and One Punch Man, all the newbie classics, Kaguya-sama is a great place to go next after those big destinations because it has very minor fan service. Like the fan service in the show is mostly poking fun at fan service. It has a very minor amount of fan service. It kind of has that like Japanese festival, like school arcs. It has a lot of like, I'd say anime specific things without just going over the top, like balls out, like anime cringe, right? So if you're trying to get a friend into anime, Kaguya-sama is a great like sophomore anime. I wouldn't show somebody Kaguya-sama first, but definitely like after you watch more of like the newbie anime, you can kind of take them into Kaguya, and if they like that, then they're probably going to be hooked on anime. I know I've done this with a couple friends. If you're watching this, that's what I did to you. So this brings me to my review of the show. I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. I think it's a perfect anime. I think there's so much to love about it. Every single episode is just entertaining as balls. There's so much going on. There are a bunch of sweet touching moments, a bunch of deep moments, a bunch of thought-provoking moments, just very good writing. And I guess I'm really making this video because the manga just ended. I was kind of in my feels. I read the last chapter with tears streaming down my face. And it's just one of those shows that is gonna stick with me. And I can't wait for the coming seasons. I know it's gonna be amazing. And I cannot recommend it enough. I think it's too good for you to miss it. And don't let all of like the weirdness about the show stand between you and the show, because it's an amazing show. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please give me a like and subscribe if you like my cute face and you want to see more of me ranting about anime and sharing my stupid opinions on the internet. And I will see you gamers next week. Bye bye.